On to our first topic of the day. We're going to react to the NBA All-Star starters from the Western Conference. John Morant, Steph Curry, Wiggins, LeBron, and Jokic made it. From the East, it was Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan, KD, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. The one surprise here was Wiggins. And Riv, you're wearing a Golden State jersey, so how do you feel about somebody from a team you're repping making the All-Star game as a starter, and it being Andrew Wiggins?
Well, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I've seen a lot of people kind of hating on it. First of all, shout out to Andrew Wiggins. He was the number one pick in the draft. He was projected to be the next LeBron. It was a lot of hype around him. And, years later, he finally gets to the All-Star game. Shout out to him. He's a big piece for why the Warriors could possibly win a championship this year. He's one of their best defenders on the team. He's been one of their best three-point shooters on the team. So shout out to him for that. If you look at the West, right, you look at the forwards in the league, Luka's counted as a guard. So just if you look at the forwards, Brandon Ingram's team is horrible. Paul George has missed damn near 2 months. Kawhi has missed the season. LeBron got in. You know what I'm saying? It's like Anthony Davis, he missed a lot of time. So when you really, like, at first when it came out, of course, people were like, whoa, like this looks a little crazy. But when you really dive into it and look at the West, there wasn't many guys who really deserved it over him at the time because of injuries. Obviously, I don't like to use ifs, but if Paul George was still playing, he probably would have took Andrew Wiggins' spot as a starter. I think we can all agree on that. Paul George probably would have been a starter with LeBron James. So I think just looking at it, what he's done in Golden State, going there and then just changing his whole game, becoming a three-point shooter, being that lockdown defender. I think that is probably why he got in the All-Star game, being one of the best defenders. And even though his counting numbers don't look that great, 18, 4, and 2, you could probably find guys better. But at the same time, what he brings for the Golden State Warriors is something that you just can't replace. People thought people assume that he can go there and probably change his image, but at this level, we didn't see, him being a lockdown defender. So, for Wiggins, for me, I felt like he deserved it looking at the circumstance of the league. And of course, talking about the whole All-Star game, John Morant, shout out to him. He definitely deserved that spot. Steph Curry, even though he's struggling, you're not going to put another guard at his spot to start the West All-Star game. And of course, LeBron James, he deserved it, the Joker. And then in the East, I mean, like, it's tough because people looked at winning and said Zach should have got it over Trae Young. And then another side of the party says DeMar DeRozan should have been a forward. But if DeMar DeRozan was a forward, he wouldn't have started. Let's just be honest. Kevin Durant and Giannis were going to start that game. So it's really tough. I look at Trae Young and I say, well, his team's been hurt a lot this year. His team's been missing, they've been missing some time, and he's putting up 28 and 10. He's been phenomenal in himself. I didn't mind him starting over Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine definitely deserves to be in the All-Star game, but I'm pretty much okay with the starters. I think they didn't hit it right. They didn't hit it right, but I think it's okay, and I wouldn't disagree with nothing.
I mean, I'm really not too upset with the starters by any means on the Eastern side. You have Joel Embiid, who's right now probably number 2 MVP. You have Kevin Durant, who, when he's on the court, top 2 ball player in the world. Trae Young's having an all-world season, averaging almost 29 points per game, over double-digit assists. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's been absolutely excellent this season with the Chicago Bulls. And now you want to go to the West. This is where things get a little bit dicey. Devin Booker should be in conversation for a spot on this starting rotation. And Rudy Gobert, I understand Rudy Gobert is not a popular name in the terms of starting an all-star game, in terms of fan favorite. Rudy Gobert has I think he should be a starter, at least be in conversation for
over Cat.
He's the best. Karl Anthony Towns is interesting. Karl Anthony Towns missed a good amount of time with COVID. I will say Karl Anthony Towns is a good idea. That being said, you have Rudy Gobert, who's averaging 15 rebounds, almost 17 points per game, the number 1 defensive big in the league. On your team, if his team was a little bit higher in the Western Conference right now they're the 4 seed. So it makes it a little bit difficult for him to really be in that starting conversation. But Wiggins is having a great season, and I don't want to take anything away from him. But for both these guys, Devin Booker and Rudy Gobert, to be left off, Andrew Wiggins isn't a top 25 ball player right now. And that's with all respect to what Andrew Wiggins has done. That sounds very rude to say. He's not a top 25 ball player. To have Rudy Gobert, who is the defensive anchor that he is, as much as he means to his squad, he's not the flashiest ball player, but skill-wise, he is definitely one of the most beneficial to his team, if not the most beneficial to the Utah Jazz. It definitely, I understand that reaction. It's Rudy Gobert. He's in Utah.
No, it's not even that. It's the Joker's starting. So it's like, that's what the reaction was.
I get it. But then you still have Giannis, who's about 7 feet tall. He's a point forward / center at this point in his career. He's not really doing anything else outside of that. You have Jokic, who really is a center, but he's playing that point forward type position. He's a center, really changing the position, but he's that point forward. What would be the real issue of having him play that point forward, having Rudy Gobert at center? For me, at least, so that you actually can clean up. I think Wiggins should have made the All-Star team, but as a starter, that's a stretch.
So you have Rudy over Cat if you were doing the starting thing over.
I would.
Wow.
That's interesting.
So Sig, I saw you make a face when he said Wiggins wasn't a top 25 player. Do you think he is a top 25 player?
Man, look, I guess I look at things different. I don't base it on just like numbers all the time, and I can't regurgitate numbers, but I look at Andrew Wiggins and I think that this year, the way he's playing, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that he might be playing like a top 25 player. When I look at his impact on the offensive end of the basketball, I think he's shooting like the best percentage from the 3-point line that he's had in his career. You said what now?
41%.
Right. He's shooting the ball at a high level. He's locking defenders up. He's locking basketball players up. He's doing a lot of the little things that he's just so effortlessly fitting into the Golden State Warriors. And I think that people are putting a lot of emphasis on what Draymond brings to the table, especially now that he's not a part of the roster right now with the injury. But I think that Andrew Wiggins is not getting as much credit as he deserves. Now, I'm not necessarily against anybody saying that Andrew Wiggins maybe shouldn't have been a starting all-star, starter in the all-star. But top 25, I think that it's definitely something that could be argued. I think as far as how he's playing this season, now throughout his career, nowhere near. But as far as this year, who would you name are better small forwards than him in the league right now, especially with Kawhi being out?
Paul George is one.
Paul George definitely comes to mind.
KD is one. Of course. Would you put Brandon Ingram over Wiggins?
No,
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't not right now.
And I think that Brandon Ingram, I think the buckets he gets doesn't equate to winning.
Chris Middleton?
I think B.I. is more talented.
Nah, but we're talking the West. He's talking West because
West. Oh, he's talking West.
Yeah. No, but he's just saying like small forwards in general, though. Chris Middleton.
I feel like Middleton and Wiggins kind of do the same thing for their teams.
Yeah.
Now
Chris Middleton's more of a polished scorer.
Definitely.
I think Wiggins is a better defender.
Yeah,
that's definitely a better defender.
Facts.
So it's like that's kind of like you can kind of use the same thing you say with Wiggins with Middleton. It's the same thing.
See, but if we're talking in general, then you have to look at Tatum. You got to look at Jimmy Butler. Like these are guys I'm taking over him clean. JB is
Absolutely.
a 2/3. It's like I'm taking these guys over them for sure.
Is he top 10? Should be top 10, right?
Top 10 small forwards. I'll give him that every single day of the week.
Is Andrew Wiggins a top 10 small forward in the NBA currently? So we have LeBron, that's 1. Jimmy Butler 2. Paul George 3, but he's not playing. Chris Middleton 4. Jaylen Brown 2, 3. That's 5. DeMar DeRozan, that's 6.
Jason Tatum.
I think I mentioned Tatum already, or did I?
You said Jaylen Brown.
Okay, so Jason Tatum's another one.
Kevin Durant.
You didn't say Kevin Durant.
What about Brandon Ingram? So you guys are not taking Brandon Ingram over Wiggins?
I probably wouldn't, because
if the criteria is impact and winning, no.
What about
talking talent alone? Bi, yeah.
What about Gordon Hayward?
No.
I
would take Wiggins.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you this. I think the one thing that Andrew Wiggins and Gordon Hayward have in common is both of them getting paid too much money.
Ooh.
How about OG Anunoby?
Oh, no.
Statistically, it's closer than how it actually is, but you got to take Wiggins.
Yeah, so I don't think, but like, no Wiggins, way you watch both of them and think it's close.
I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. Statistically, it's close. But in real life, it's not that. It's Wiggins, and it's pretty clean.
So Wiggins is a top 10 small forward, but like borderline. He's like just making the cut. He's like
like that 8 to 10
area.
Yep, 100% agree.
So what did you think about the All-Star starters, JC? Did you agree with the list?
So for the Eastern Conference, I mean, I pretty much agree with it, but I agree with Giannis, MVP, top 3 in the race. Joel Embiid has been going crazy this year. DeMar DeRozan has helped the Bulls reach a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Trae Young is putting up video game numbers. A lot of people question if the foul hunting and the foul baiting, which he was used to, would affect this game. Has shown no effect. This is statistically his best season. And obviously, I don't know if I said him as far as Kevin Durant. I agree with Kevin Durant, but since Kevin Durant is not going to be out, I did like I did a replacement player. So it was either Tatum or Jimmy Butler that'll take his spot. I'm fine with either or taking his spot. In the Western Conference, LeBron James, we agree. We all agree on LeBron James. I agree on Jokic. Steph Curry, obviously, even though he's been on a slump, we know what he's a 2-time MVP. We know the type of player he is, one of the best players in the world. John Morant's helping the Grizzlies in their resurgence. They're the 3rd seed. I think he should be higher on the MVP race or the MVP ladder. So I'm all for it there. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins, I kind of agree with Andrew. I kind of have a little bit of a problem with it. If we were going to, in the East, if you're going to make an exception to put DeMar DeRozan at a guard because Giannis and KD are at his position, I think you can make an exception in putting Luka Doncic over him as a starter. I would personally, as a viewer, like to see Luka Doncic as a starter more than Andrew Wiggins or Devin Booker. I mean, Devin Booker's team's number 1 in the West. They're 39-19. He's playing some good basketball. Debate between who's the best player on the team between him and Chris Paul, but nonetheless, in my opinion, Luka and D-Book are both better basketball players than Andrew Wiggins. And just from a fan perspective, I would much rather see D-Book and Luka in the All-Star game over Andrew Wiggins. And I mean, I would ask you guys, would you guys agree with that statement that I just made in seeing D-Book and Luka as an All-Star starter over Andrew Wiggins? Just for viewership.
I would want Luka to start.
Mm-hmm. Ray, what about you?
When are we going to stop disrespecting Rudy Gobert?
Come on, bro.
Why are we doing that?
I'm not disrespecting Rudy. I think Rudy deserves to start more than Andrew Wiggins as well. But if I'm just putting 2 people who play the similar position as Andrew Wiggins around the same size, I would take D-Book or Luke over him.
Riv, put Dub Nation aside, bro. Put it aside.
Listen. Dub Nation is all right now. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why I gotta add.
No, but wait. I think in the East, I get it. They messed up with the DeMar DeRozan thing. He's not a guard. He's been a forward.
That's fine. But I'm just saying, if you can make an exception for DeMar, I think you can make an exception for Luka or D-Book starting over Wiggins.
I don't think they made an exception. I just think they messed up. So in the West, because in the East, they just messed up. DeMar's not a guard. He hasn't been a guard all year. He's been a forward. But in the West, y'all saying Devin Booker should make it. He's a guard. And I'm going to be honest, he doesn't deserve the spot over either of the 2 guys that got it. He don't even deserve it over Luka. So he wouldn't be the next guy up. So it's tough for me to get over.
You don't think he deserves it over Wiggins?
Wiggins is a forward in the West, so I can't.
No, but I'm solely speaking on just the exception aspect.
If anything, Luka gets that spot, regardless.
Okay, I said Luka was my first pick to get that spot, and then D-Book was a follow-up.
I kind of have a problem with Drew continuously mentioning Gobert. Like, we're forgetting Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he's way better than Rudy. Like, Karl Anthony Towns,
my boy, bro. Way better. Like, listen,
bro. Cat is averaging 24, 9, and 4.
I respect your Timberwolves love wholeheartedly. I get it, and I
they're
respect
in the playoffs right now.
Is a hooper. Okay,
they're in the play-in. They're in the play-in.
But they have a playoff spot, bro. We
don't know that. It's a play-in spot. We don't know that.
Utah's a lock for the playoffs. That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
they're slipping though. They're slipping bad.
But they're guaranteed.
Yes, listen. They're slipping, and Donovan Mitchell hasn't been playing, and they're losing. I just want y'all to know.
It's been both.
I was just about to say that right now.
Yeah, a team doesn't have their leading scorer. It's a surprise that they're losing.
I'm just letting y'all know that.
I'm just
I'm
giving you an answer.
The Andrew Wiggins thing is interesting because 50% of the starter vote is like fan vote, and a K-pop artist, a really famous one, his name is Bam Bam. He actually endorsed Andrew Wiggins January 6th, I apologize, and was like, get this guy in the All-Star game as a starter. So a lot of people are speculating that that K-pop artist, Bam Bam, had a lot to do with Wiggins starting in the All-Star game.
But you could say the same thing with Trae Young. Trae Young won the fan votes. He didn't win the player votes.
But I think Trae Young is more deserving of that.
Oh no,
spot.
yeah, of course, yeah. I'm not, but I'm saying like the fan votes is what gets you in to be a starter.
I think the East was perfect. I outside of Trae Young, that's the only one that maybe I put Zach when we originally did our starters and reserves. I put Zach over Trey, but it's not like Trey deserves it. I know he deserves it.
Yeah.
With the West, it's just hard for me to say Wiggins should be over Cat. Like, it's front court player, so it's not small forward by power forward by center. It's just front court. Cat is a front court player. The starters should have been Steph, Ja, Cat, LeBron, and Jokic. That's what I thought it should have been.